Today we can find the slope from 2 points. Slope, the steepness of the line. The slope formula tells us what the steepness of the line would be. So this formula can be found in your STAR reference sheet, and it is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So this fraction line means division, but we can also put this into our Casio calculators by using the fraction symbol. Let's review a little bit. We know that from finding slope from a graph notes, we figured out we can do rise over run. So number 1 says, what is the slope of the line that contains -2, -3, and 0, negative, or 0, 1? Use the slope formula to figure it out. So first off, we know that this is our x sub 1, and meaning this is our x sub 2. -3 would be our y sub 1. 1 would be y sub 2. So let's plug it into our formula. M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. If we plug it in, all we have to do is say 1 minus y1 would be -3. I'm going to put that in parentheses because we already have a subtraction symbol right before the negative. All over 0 minus -2. And you do not have to put the parentheses. Your Casio calculators will figure out that it's a negative, only if you use the negative symbol. Make sure you are using the negative symbol that is right next to your decimal point. And then this right here would be the subtraction symbol. So if you plug that into your calculator, you should get exactly 2. But before you simplify it out, you can use the D to the F button, and that should give you the final answer as being 2. If you already got 2, then great. You don't have to use the D to F button. So remember to use your calculators correctly. So you first need to use the A and B to the C button on your calculator. Put in those numbers. And that should give you the final answer 2. So that would represent the slope for those 2 points. Let's check it using our knowledge that we already know for rise over run on our graph. So we're looking at -2, 3 and 0, 1. If we used the rise over run button, or the rise over run strategy, we would do 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a +4 because it was going up. 1, 2, because it's going to the right, it'll be a +2. And if it was rise over run, it would be 4 over 2, and that's exactly what we got, so check. This is a great strategy to use when you are checking your work. The slope formula is the way I would go if the graph was not there. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2 says, what is the slope of the line that contains 0, 1 and 1, 3? Use the slope formula. So again, I know that I'm working with m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'm going to label it again. I'm going to make 0 as my x sub 1, 1 as my x sub 2. Remember, your first numbers are always your x values, and then the second numbers in your ordered pairs are going to be your y values. This is my y sub 1, this is my y sub 2. And then if I plug it into my formula, I get 3 minus 1, and then x sub 2 was 1 minus 0. This looks easy, so I'm going to plug this into my calculator. I'm going to use the A, B over C button and put 3 minus 1. And then I'm going to put 1 minus 0 for the denominator. And that should have given you, after you executed it, 2 over 1. And if you do D to F, F to D button, that would be 2. Or you could have just gotten 2 right away. Let's check it on our graph. So I know it was from 0, 1 to 1, 3. Rise over 1, 1, 2, plus 2 because it was going up, and just 1 to the right. So 2 over 1, that looks correct. Check. So that is how we are using the slope formula from 2 given points. Let's practice a little bit. Number 1, 2, 5, and 9, 3. Again, I'm just going to rewrite the formula just so I don't forget. Again, this formula you do not need to memorize because it is in your formula charts. So I'm going to make this x1, x2, y1, y2. Plug it right in. It's going to be 3 minus 5. Don't confuse yourself with the ordering, so that 3 needs to come first. All over 9 minus 2. That gives you negative 2 over 7 on your calculators. And if you turn that into a decimal, should give you something like negative 2.8 rounded to the nearest tenth. So you can write either answers, a fraction or a decimal. It should actually be 0.28. And then let's look at number 2. Going to make this my x1, x2, y1, y2. M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1. X sub 2 minus x sub 1. And we know that's 1 minus 1. Negative 8 minus 5. Execute. Get 0 over negative 13, or you could have just ended up with 0. Because 0 divided by anything gives you 0. And yes, you can have a slope that equals 0. Number 3. x1, x2, y1, y2. Again, my formula is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Plugging it in, it's negative 4 minus 10. Negative 2 minus 3. Execute it on your calculator. That gives you negative 14 all over negative 5. And that becomes, if you press the F2D button, a positive 2.8. Number 4, last one. I'm going to make this x1, x2, y1, y2. 9, forgot the formula. M equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1 equals 5 minus negative 2 all over 9 minus 9 giving you a 7 over 0. So whenever this happens, right here, we have an issue. You can have a 0 on the numerator, but you can never ever have a 0 on the bottom, because that will make it undefined. So this slope is undefined, meaning it does not exist. And we will talk about what kind of graphs are undefined. Or you should already know it from the notes from finding slopes from graphs. All right, please make sure you are completing the practice on the back of your notes, and then try to at least get 10 questions on the IXL that is on Schoology. Remember that you have a quiz next Tuesday over this.